everybody has great ideas to do something over too many drinks in a bar, and that's usually where it ends. The difference between dreams and hallucination is money.
We have a new segment that we're beginning this week. It's called 5 Minutes, and I'm going to be spending 5 minutes with my very good friend, Dr. Nick Mueller, the President and CEO Emeritus of the National WWII Museum, founder as well, and founder of the UNO Innsbruck summer program, which we want to cover today as well. So welcome, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It's so good to be with you, and I look forward to seeing you this summer. I'm making plans to be with you. Give our audience a sense of what's happening in Innsbruck and where that program has come.
Well, this is a summer school for the University of New Orleans that I founded in 1976, so it tells you how old I am, 50 years ago. So we're having the 50th anniversary of the summer school, and Lieutenant Governor is going to be there. He was a former alum of the program in the 80s. Many others, families and parents here of the city, as well as now grown adults, are in their 40s or 50s or 60s. We're alums. I mean, over 12,000 students from all over the country have attended the program as transfer students in the summer. Of course, all of them, every summer, some were University of New Orleans students and taught by University of New Orleans faculty. It's a 6-week program. It's been one of the most successful overseas programs by any American university overseas.
You know, the exciting part about this is a student can go there and obviously go to class, and then you give them time with the schedule that they can explore Europe.
Yes, they have. We have classes Monday through Thursday, and then Thursday night till Monday morning they're on their own. Sometimes we do field trips with the students during the week in and around Innsbruck, up to Munich, go to Dachau, go to other places, churches, symphonies, all kinds of cultural programs. There's usually 40 or 50 courses to choose from, and it's a transformative experience for most students.
What was the idea behind it? I mean, this was something that I'm sure back when you began this, and I know you initially began in Munich and moved it to Innsbruck in 1976. Why do this?
Well, to some extent, it was self-serving. I came as 1969 as a young assistant professor at the University of New Orleans. My area was European history. I studied abroad for 2 years at the University of Vienna, University of Zurich. Worked abroad between my master's and PhD at North Carolina. And I had to get myself back to Europe somehow. And I had been in a similar program with the University of Vienna in my junior year in college. And it was a transformative experience for me and motivated me to go to graduate school and basically changed my life. And that experience tells a story of my 2 journeys, mostly with the University of New Orleans and then the National WWII Museum. They're all linked by history, by innovation, and transformation.
Yeah, you know, all roads lead, seemed like, to the National WWII Museum, and you and Dr. Stephen Ambrose, your co-founder, you always tell this great story about how you came together, I think in his backyard, or was it your backyard?
I don't know, one every afternoon, about 3 days a week.
And there was sherry involved?
Yeah, it was sherry involved. Probably too much sherry, you know. I always say that, everybody has great ideas to do something over too many drinks in a bar, and that's usually where it ends. The difference between dreams and hallucination is money. and so we had drinks, and Steve had the idea for a D-Day museum way ahead of his time. And I was developing the UNO Research Park at the time, where Andrew Higgins tested the landing craft. And that was the link for him. He says, "You've got free land." That's a historic site where Andrew Higgins tested the landing craft that Eisenhower said won World War II. Well, I said, "That's a great idea, Steve. You've been talking about Congress doing something for years." He said, "No, we're going to do it right here. Screw them." He says, "They're never going to do anything up there. It'll be a small museum. Small. Only cost $1 million." I said, "Steve, you're so naive. It's going to be at least $4 million." I missed a few zeros. And 34 years later,
well,
here we are.
Y'all have built, and the legacy for Dr. Ambrose, and of course the fact that you're You ran this museum for so many years, and now you're like the elder statesman, so to speak. And it's just magic what you created for these families that were attached to the World War II. But what's happened to the visitation and the grandkids that now show up because my grandfather or my grandmother served in the war. I mean, the gift that you have given to the nation is, and really to the world, is amazing.
Thank you.
And of course, that leads us to want to discuss your writing career. You've recently published a new book, Preserving the Legacy. Tell us the basis of this and
well, surprise,
this
there's a
came
Higgins
about.
boat right there on the cover. And Tom Brokaw was kind enough to write a foreword. And this has been in the works in my mind for 10, 15 years. But when I was running the museum, I had no time to sit down and write and review the records of. So it's partly anecdotal. It's kind of a memoir history. It talks about the story of the museum, which the museum mission is why the war was fought, how it was won, and what it means today, so that all future generations can be inspired by what they learn and understand the consequences of war and peace. And so this is the book about how that museum happened and how that mission expanded and evolved to what it is today. And the last pavilion is really the last part of the mission, talks about the meaning and the legacy of World War II. It goes beyond just a tribute to the veterans. Of course, that's a big part of what we do in their personal stories.
The lessons learned is such an important aspect of what you created.
It was always thought to be, or in my mind, a beacon to the past, but also to the future of what we learned from that war and how we came out of the war with Roosevelt's vision for the four freedoms and Eleanor's UN Declaration for Human Rights. So we've been known for the last 80 years as a nation that led to the ultimate victory and began to help advance even the democracies in the countries we had defeated that had been totalitarian regimes before, and gave them the money to rebuild in the Marshall Plan. So that's a great story, and a great American story.
It's a must visit for every citizen of this nation.
Yeah, it's. We like to think that our rankings as number 3 or 4 most popular museum in America are deserved.
Yes, sir. And you created a great team that have continued to work and push the museum's message around the world. And so thank you for that. Stephen Watson, who is your successor,
yes,
continues
he
the
came
good
on
work.
board in 2001, and after all the years, I decided to step down to writing and working part-time on the last pavilion. But Stephen is just a great executive.
He's done a great job.
And handpicked it to get the board to approve it without it.
Yeah, and then the movie, The Beyond All Boundaries, just recently went through a little bit of a retrofit. So if the viewing audience has not seen that particular film that's at the museum, they need to get down there and see it.
It was a game changer for the museum in 2009 after Katrina.
The Solomon Theater.
Yep.
Let's get back to Innsbruck for a moment.
Yeah.
So what will we experience this summer at Innsbruck?
Well, we're working on that. As you know, you've been kind of involved and helpful in an advisory way for the last 4 or 5 months. But it's the 50-year anniversary of the International Summer School there. That will be surrounded at the beginning of that week. The summer school opening will be the 3rd of July. But on the 29th and 30th of June, we're going to have an international symposium on cultural tourism and the impact of cultural tourism, the challenges, and it will be speakers from our country and our city. Walt Leger is planning to be there and is a sponsor.
The President and CEO of New Orleans and Company.
Yes, and Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser is a sponsor. He will be a keynoter, and some of his, Doug Bourgeois and Kerry. And so we are going to have a lineup. Joe Pine, one of the internationally known people for city transformations and transformative cities, and especially with regard to hospitality. On the Innsbruck side, the faculty there, and we also have Bridget Bordelon here, who's an endowed chair in hotel restaurant tourism, is going to be teaching this summer, as I will too. I'm going to actually be teaching in my own World War II course in my own summer school. And Mark Landry, who's the director of Santa
Right.
Rosa. So there'll be a contingent from New Orleans that will be speaking there. I hope our mayor comes because we're in a sister city relationship also. So there'll be sister city relationships. There'll be a big event one night in the middle of the week for dignitaries from both the city of Innsbruck, the university, business community, tourism officials, and then the great grand opening.
Right.
So it's going to be an exciting week.
And you know, Innsbruck is such a beautiful, beautiful city.
Yeah.
At the site of a former Winter Olympics. And,
Yeah. And I was working in the first Winter Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
For IBM Austria. Yeah, when I was over there working. I want to say too that Leah Cott, who was a former vice provost for international education, developed all of our international programs after I went off to the museum, is been contracted to develop an alumni reunion program, and we already have, just in the last week or so, well, maybe 3-4 weeks, 26 people signed up. So there's a whole package of former students and parents and students who are out there listening to this.
I think that's the package I signed up for.
Yeah, that you're. Yeah. So we are going to have a
gonna be great.
special program for alums from Tuesday through Saturday, and Billy's going to meet with them, and we're going to have programs. We're going to take them into the old classrooms and
Good.
and go back through all of where their
Great.
experiences up in the mountains and everywhere else. So it's going to
Good.
be great.
Well, great. So tell me, as we bring this to a close, what's your next chapter? You've got another book in mind?
Well, I'm taking a break from that. I did 3 books in the last 6-7 years,
Yeah.
so taking a little break from that. I'm volunteering for a lot of things. I'm involved with a little cultural art program in Menerbes in France. I'm working with UNO, obviously, on the summer school and all the 50th anniversary events, preparing my lectures, so that'll get me through this year. And I'm leading a leading a museum tour, a special operations tour. It's called the Original Inglorious Bastards. These are the real deals.
Yeah.
Of, flying in,
Saw the movie.
parachuting into, yes, nothing like that, but that was all fictionalized.
Yeah.
But these guys parachuted into the Dolomite Alps in the last year of the war, blew up bridges and intercepted
Very
SS
special
troops.
operations, yeah.
Special operations that went on. It's got romance in it. It's all in the areas where the Winter Olympics are right now, Cortina, Bolzano.
Yeah.
But we end up in Innsbruck, where the climax was, and another team parachutes in there and impersonates an SS officer in the streets of Innsbruck, and finally gets captured, tortured, and then gets out because the Americans are getting close, and he gets the whole city to surrender. So
That's a
it's one
great
of the
story.
great stories.
That's got to be a book at some point. It's gotta
It
be
is a book.
at
There's
some-
2 books.
Just
written
about
on it.
that.
Yeah, and the historian who wrote those 2
Will be
books,
part of
is
your program.
Patrick O'Donnell. He's coming along too.
Very good. I need to take that class.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. If we go back to the opening of the D-Day Museum, the first segment of what's become this mammoth multinational experience, tell us what it was like getting that off the ground. I mean, there were so many elements involved. You had celebrities, you had parade, you had all sorts of dignitaries showing up. What was it like?
Well, it was absolutely fantastic, and it was planned to be fantastic. But you know that you can always competing with what the news cycles are. Fortunately, there were none that day. But Malcolm Earhart was on contract for helping me for the last 2 years to get the museum open, and we decided, I was going to get enough money to get this thing open, and B, we're a national D-Day museum here in a small market city. We're not in Washington, we're not in New York or Chicago. And we had to come out with a big bang because we didn't have federal operating support. We're not part of the state museum network. We had to live by our admissions and earned and contributed income. So we had to have a big show, and it was 3 days worth. And we met every week for 18 months planning this thing. Pat Denishow was involved,
Right.
and Secretary of Defense. We had to get Secretary Bill Cohen 6 months before. Mary Landrieu got us authorized to be an official event of the United States Congress. So we had all this publicity out, and 10,000 veterans were coming from all the D-Days of World War II, and their spouses and widows, and 200,000 people on the streets of New Orleans.
Amazing.
Watching a parade of 80 trucks with about 20 veterans, about 1,000 veterans in that parade, and St. Aug band and others around the French band, Navy band from Brittany, the President's own that Secretary of Defense brought down. And, it was the weather. There was a weather worry at the beginning, but it cleared up right before we went out and cut the ribbon. Everybody who was there still remembers that they were saying thank you to the veterans. There were no beads thrown. People were crying.
It was a parade of love.
It was a parade of love. And I always thought, this is the parade that they never got when they came home. And I think they felt that way, and some of them even said that. I didn't know the Secretary of Defense had told General Dave Mize, who was the point of contact for the head of Marfor Res at that time, General Mize, told me halfway through the parade, I said, how many people on the parade? Because he had people, spotters all around. He says, 200,000. He says, the city police were estimating that. I said, whew, good, that's great. And he says, well, SecDef said I had to have 100,000. I'm glad you didn't tell me that before. But anyway, we
surpassed the goal.
Great day for the city, and
Great.
The result of that was people were lining around the blocks to get in. I mean, literally all around Camp Street, St. Joseph, and packed in the Louisiana Pavilion, and that carried on, and so we just had a gangbuster year after year.
And the support that the community particularly gave in the building and the bricks and the opportunity for people to.
Oh, Boise Bollinger and the chair and the volunteer who is after me and other board members and community supporters.
Yeah.
And we were moving into a national board. We immediately began to gravitate toward a national World War II museum going beyond. Because this was a Navy town too, and the Marines were left out of the Pacific.
And it's been consistent with the leadership you've had. I mean, Boise and his family endowed the Canopy of Peace, which now sits over the entire footprint.
Right.
And Phil Satry was so involved for so many years, and Senator Pete Wilson. Out of California.
Jim Barksdale.
Yeah.
Yep. But we had, and I should mention Spielberg and Hanks. There's a little bit of luck involved. I mean, if you work hard enough, sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah.
And Saving Private Ryan came out in 1998, summer that I was becoming chairman and CEO. And Spielberg and Hanks wanted Steve Ambrose to help promote that movie, which was easy for him because he thought it was the greatest movie on World War II ever made. And so he said, I'll work for free for you guys to help promote it, but I got one condition.
A little quid pro quo there.
You come to the grand opening of this small little D-Day museum I'm starting and make a big contribution. And they did, and they came, and they participated in everything for 2 days.
And they've stayed involved.
They stayed involved. Tom Brokaw, too. God bless him. He's been a stalwart champion from the beginning.
And he wrote your foreword for your book.
Yeah.
So.
A beautiful one, too. He just really captured Steve and myself and our early vision.
Well, thank you for spending time with us today.
Let me say.
You got one more?
Yeah, I guess one more thing about the alumni reunion for the summer school. People can go to UNO-Innsbruck50.com and go to the website, which tells you all about the programs in Innsbruck and in this coming summer and what the alumni can do.
And where can we purchase your book?
All of us can get books at the World War II Museum.
Very good.
And you can get them online with Amazon. It's the LSU Press published it. So it's a great production of the LSU Press.
Great. And speaking of LSU, as it becomes LSU New Orleans,
we're going back to our old name.
2027, the program will be the LSU New Orleans Innsbruck program.
That's right. And it will be the first institutional announcement, I guess, 2 days after that
That's
happened.
right.
to
Looking
LSU
forward to
New
that very
Orleans.
much.
Yeah.